Okay, welcome to Reticulous.com. In this quick video, I'm going to explain to you how you can get quality real estate leads for 50 cents to about $5 a piece. I'm going to show you the exact process we use, along with some examples of the specific landing pages and ads we're using to get this whole process done. So if you can, just sit still for probably only take a few minutes here, 5 to 10 minutes, and let's get going. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do, you're going to go ahead and build yourself a lead capture page that offers a buyer or seller focused offer. I want to go on a tangent here and say that in my experience and what I see across the board with all our members and even outside of our membership is that you'll actually generate more seller leads by going for buyer leads first. Okay, it might sound counterintuitive, but a lot of buyers have a home to sell, and just the way that the funnels work online with everybody out there trying to do seller focused offers, I'm going to just give you a tip right here and say go for the buyer offer first. Trust me on this one. Anyway, here's a typical page we use. It's a very simple page. We call it a squeeze page. If you've never heard that terminology before, it basically means that the visitor comes here, they have very little option. They're either going to enter their email or they're going to leave. And what happens with a page like this across the board in almost every market is that we get at least a 10 to 15% conversion rate, but more likely something closer to 30 to 40, even upwards of 50% of people who visit this page will give us an email address. Usually we like to put for real estate, we like to put the map of the area in the background. That seems to convert better. Another thing that helps conversions is a snapshot of maybe your IDX page with the example of the listings. That can work very, very well too. So there we go. There's a buyer focused squeeze page. You're going to want to put one of these together. If you do go for the seller side, here's our tried and true page. Basically, a person clicks an ad, they come through and they just can put their property address in and they get a chance to see what their property is worth. Now, instead of doing what the rest of the whole real estate world is doing here, what we generally do is we don't give the property value right away. We recommend that you go ahead and manually reply with a 1 to 2 sentence email that just says, hey, I saw your request. I think the house is worth 100 to 150, but I really need to come over and take a look to give you an accurate number. This seems to work better because a lot of times if you use a computer generated valuation, as good as data can be in some markets, what you do is you set yourself up for disappointment, or you set the seller up for disappointment if really their house is worth less or worth more. It doesn't match up with what they were thinking. You kind of shoot yourself in the foot before you even get in the door. So here we go. Here's an example of a seller focused squeeze page. So these two right here, you can run a mega business. We have members doing this. You can do great just with the 2 pages I just showed you, or just using one of them and consistently promoting it. You can build a really good real estate practice here. Next step in this whole thing is to get eyeballs on your pages, right? So you're going to want to run Craigslist ads consistently, Facebook or YouTube ads. Lately we've been playing with that send visitors to your page. Tip, Facebook ads remain the best, quickest, most efficient way to get this done. We've been on Facebook ads probably for about 3 or 4 years now, and consistently it's just the quickest way to get things done. Don't be afraid to spend money. As long as you're doing this properly, you can generate reliable traffic at will and generate cheap cost per clicks in hyperlocal markets and get really good leads using Facebook ads. So do focus on Facebook for the time being. If you're watching this video today, that's where I would start first. Craigslist is still good, but requires more time than money. And for the cost you're going to spend on Facebook, it's well worth the investment. You're probably, your time is probably more valuable than to be sitting around posting Craigslist ads all day, but who knows? Okay, here's an example Facebook ad. Okay, this one I just fired up today as I record this video. We've gotten 18 clicks for 15 cents a click. The page I'm sending to is very similar to the one I showed you for the foreclosures. It's got a little bit of a twist on it, but we have gotten, of those 18 clicks, 11 leads so far. Wonderful. So the total spend, if you work that backwards, we're doing about 30 or 40 cents per lead. This is exceptional. It's really good. In the beginning of the video, I said 50 cents to $5 a lead. Go ahead and assume that in most markets, you're going to be at about $1 a lead. If you're in California or some of the more tech-savvy markets, so to speak, where the consumer, it's harder to get an email address, or where the other agents, your competition, are pretty savvy, you might approach that $3 to $5 number. So this is a typical ad. Go ahead, swipe this, start using it now if you want. That's phase 2 of our process here. Run the ad that drives traffic to your capture page. Just a bonus tip, you might have been wondering as you saw the first capture page pages and they only had an email address. I know that every coach in the industry says get the phone number. I don't know why they're still saying that because millennials don't want to talk to you on the phone anyway. But if you do want to try to get the phone number or get more data about your prospect, here's how to do it. The next screen here, we typically send people right after the opt-in through a quick survey that gets some more questions answered. Our typical foreclosure page says stuff like, hey, quick question, what best describes you? I might be looking for a property to live in. I'm an investor. I have a property I need to sell, so on and so forth. They give you the price range. If they tick off they need financing, great. You can share this lead with your mortgage guy and have them help you convert. And then you have the phone number optional here. One comment on phone numbers though, again, the whole basis of this whole thing is to play the numbers game, get a lot of people into your funnel, and through your follow-up, get people calling you so that you're not calling them. I know this is not what you want to hear, but it works really well. If you actually follow up with these leads in a systematic way, consistently, people will start to call you and you won't really care about getting the phone numbers up front. In fact, you won't want to call people who give you the phone numbers up front because you only want the motivated people calling you. It's better that way. Then finally, so we've talked about setting up your capture page, driving traffic. Little bonus tip here with your second step survey. One other thing you could try here is to also do a video and induce people to schedule in your scheduling software for a consultation right away. I've seen some people are doing that now. It works pretty well as well. So you've done those two things. You want to make sure that you start to do the follow-up correctly. Now, one of the first things you can do with your follow-up to make sure that you call out maybe even the 10%, 5% of the really hot leads and that you start to get into conversations almost immediately, get that instant gratification, is to send an email with a conversational autoresponder embedded in it, or send a conversational autoresponder email, as I should say. So here's a typical one we send. Hi, here's the link to the foreclosure list you just requested. Boom, link, and then you'll see here where it says, just curious, are you looking to buy something soon? Or just browsing? And a lot of times that open-ended question will get you a reply. You'll get the signature of the person, maybe you get the phone number, and you can start to have a dialogue from there. It doesn't happen every time, but it's a really good thing to include in your funnel. And then from then on, to convert more leads, more of these email-only opt-ins into leads, you're going to just continue to send property info. You're going to send people properties, and you're going to induce them to talk to you about the properties. You're going to do basic brokerage, send people properties to buy. So here's an example here in our next slide of an email you might send. York, PA, real estate deal of the week. You give the property address. Hey, you give a little bit of detail about the property. Deal of the week is this address. It's the cheapest house in a good neighborhood. It's deceptively big, blah, blah, blah. Click here to see pictures, and you jump them over to your single property page or your MLS page, whatever you got to do. And then finally, the call to action. If you know anybody who might be interested, feel free to reply to this email. Okay? If you do this consistently, at least once a week, 2, 3, 4 times a week, if you send out straight real estate info, people are going to start to attach real estate, associate real estate with your name, right? And they're going to see you as somebody who's got information about real estate. So when they need it, they're going to reach out to you. This is pretty simple stuff, but it works really, really well. And so few people in your market do this consistently, if anybody at all, that you're going to have a really good competitive advantage if you just commit to sending emails like this to your database at least once a week. And of course, you're an expert. You always know about a good property or two to talk about, right? So there we go. That's the whole process. If you can get to 100 to up to 1,000 people in your database and you consistently send the follow-up, first of all, the cost here is going to be somewhere between what? We said 50 to 50 cents to $5 a lead. So you're looking at $50 all the way up to, if you do 1,000 and 5, up to 5, so $50 to $5,000, depending on your market. If you commit to doing that, you're going to have a never-ending, I promise, a never-ending stream of deals. On a list of 100, you could easily do a transaction a month if you're consistent with the follow-up, and the number just gets better over time, of course, as you touch more people and they get to see your info more and more frequently. So that's about it. Now, I just showed you all this. You can go ahead